Hey all, welcome to another session with me, Varun, at Odin School. And in this session, we would be understanding data science with Python advanced course, and the topic would be to look at NumPy. We all know what NumPy is, how this library makes a difference in Python. How is this library very important for us? So without wasting time, let us understand all about NumPy in this very session. And by now, I hope you all must have understood why do we have to learn data science, or why is Python very important when you learn data science? Because these two almost complement each other. It's like I wouldn't even hesitate saying that major chunk of the development today with regards to data science happens in association with Python. So yes, Python is a very important language. It could be with regards to machine learning, or it could be with regards to deep learning, or it could be with regards to core Python. I would say this language has started a game changing series of events, and we would be understanding a few of them. And guys, let me give you an introduction about Odin School. We here at Odin School are a technology upskilling platform, and we would help you continuously acquire new skills. Thereby, you could stay skilled and stay ahead. And my name is Varun. I come with an experience of 7 years wherein I've been working as a developer and a trainer. And over these years, I have gained knowledge on HTML, CSS, JavaScript, AngularJS, R, Python, and I've been able to work on concepts like machine learning, mobile application development, deep learning, etc. And all this is complete credits to the organizations that I worked with. A big thanks to all of them for being able to provide me with the opportunity to gain exposure into such fields. Now, the agenda of this session in specific would be to look at array creation, to look at concepts of indexing and slicing, which we do in NumPy. What is array manipulation function, or what are some very famous array manipulation functions, and we would be looking at some basic mathematical operators. So just to rephrase the agenda, you can understand this as a beginner or a look forward into the most important library, that is NumPy. So going forward, beginning the topic, NumPy is actually the most important, or the ground, or the fundamental package for scientific computing. And when we talk about scientific computing, I don't literally mean that it's restricted only and only to mathematics. Yes, mathematics happens to be the most important chunk of it, but there is a lot of other things that's happening in and around data science, or in and around Python, right guys? Now, there is this person named Travis who created NumPy package by incorporating the features of NumArray into a numeric package. And as we all know, anyone who is good at Python, or anyone who is good at coding, they can also, or even if you are really good at coding, and if let us assume that you have come up with a new library, then you can push this into the Python. And if it is really worth it, then they would look into it, and this package of yours would become global, right guys? So even these kind of libraries like NumPy, Pandas, they have come up over time. It's not that all these packages are with Python right from day number one. The Python that we look at today and the Python which came in the beginning were are two entirely different things. What we see today is a much evolved version. Is like what we see today is a highly developed, a highly advanced version wherein we have so many people who have already contributed to its growth. But when it started, guys, it was all raw. So we have this guy Travis who created NumPy package by incorporating the features of NumArray into this numeric package. And as we all know, NumPy can also be used as an efficient multi-dimensional container for generic data. Now, an arbitrary data type can be defined as well when we talk about NumPy, and because of this, it allows NumPy to seamlessly and speedily integrate with a wide range of databases. Now, I don't think this last point also needs any explanation. NumPy as a library has universal acceptance. That's exactly what uh, I mean here. When I say this allows NumPy to seamlessly and speedily integrate with wide range of databases, that is exactly what I mean here. Now, going forward into the topic, what are the different kinds of functions that we can do with NumPy? Well, what I have here are just a few so that we can begin our understanding and move into the hands-on part of it. Because as we all know, this session, or when we talk about features like NumPy or pandas, there is not much to talk. There is a lot to do. There is a lot to understand. There's a lot to see. So there is almost very less or no theory or negligible theory followed by a lot of hands-on. So guys, for all those of you who are looking forward to learn NumPy and to advance this module, we would be doing it right now. So in NumPy, the arrays in NumPy, the main object is a homogeneous multi-dimensional array, or this is what we can do. Then arrays indexing is also possible, wherein you can slice and index numbers. Then you have sorting, we can sort, you can group, you have array creation wherein you can arrange and reshape an array. Let us say you have a matrix which is 2 by 3, you can change it to 3 by 2 shape, right guys? So all these are the things that we can do using array. Now there are also some universal functions that we can use, like np dot subtract, np dot multiply. Now these are the most generic functions that we have in NumPy. You have cos, sine, you have aggregate functions, and you have some basic mathematical functions. We would be looking at all of these right now. So let me take you into the hands-on part of it. So guys, here as you can see within my Jupyter notebook, I have a lot of exercises that we could do on NumPy. I have NumPy mathematics using NumPy, then inspect NumPy array, and then finally I have array manipulation, indexing, and slicing. After which we would be moving on into the other parts. So without wasting any time, I hope you have your Python or Anaconda Navigator open and ready. Let us now just start going ahead. Right. So step one, I have import numpy as np, and here NumPy is the name of the library, and we all know that whenever you would want to import uh, or whenever you would want to instantiate a new library for the first time, we use import NumPy as NP. Now this can be import NumPy as XYZ as well, or you can write it as import NumPy as ABC also. But guys, each and every time you want to use it, you would be using ABC dot multiply or ABC dot zeros or ABC dot whatever. Now, this is not a standard convention. This is not a globally accepted convention. It's just a convention, it's not a rule. Now, what is a convention? Convention is something that almost all of us have accepted silently without making it a rule. Now, we all know that NP refers to NumPy. So it becomes very easy for a fellow developer who is working on your code to understand when you're working on np dot zeros that np refers to NumPy. Failing to which, when there are more than 5 to 6 libraries, it would become very difficult for us to identify which library is used for what. For example, ABC is used for something else, BCD is used for something else. Now this is not a proper way of doing things. So here, as you can see, I'm importing numpy as np, and in my second step I'm using np dot zeros and 3 comma 4, which means I have 3 rows and 4 columns. That is, if you can notice, okay, let me just use a pen here. All right, you can see that we have 3 rows and 4 columns. Right, guys? 1, 2, 3, and fourth. 3 rows. 1, 2, 3. So this is what NumPy does for me. And when I use zeros, it will give me a matrix of all zeros only. Now, please don't try this logic for fives or tens and all. This is applicable only for some. The second one is to arrange numbers between an interval of some range. Okay, now let us assume that I would want to arrange my numbers from 10 to 75 with an interval of 10. Let us see how it happens. We all know that when we are working on Python, if you have A and B and C, wherein A is start and B is end. We all know Python ends one before B. For example, if I have 10 and 75 here, it begins with 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 and stopped at 70. It wouldn't go till 75. The same would be applicable even if it is 80. You should try this when you're working hands-on. Right, guys? So here when I'm arranging numbers between 10 to 75 with an interval of 10, this is the start, this is the end, and this is the interval. So I'm arranging numbers from 10 to 75 with an interval of 10. Now in my next step, I hope that this is understood. In my next step, I am using NumPy as NP again, and now I'm using an array. And what is an array, guys? We all know that array is a set of homogeneous or set of numbers. Okay, so here I'm considering 1, 2, 3 np dot array, and you see that I have it as 1, 2, 3. Now this is 1D or single dimensional. This is a 2D array. Now 2D array is multi-dimensional when you have rows and columns. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 within np.array, and when I check the output, you see I would be having them enclosed within two brackets and all of them as individual sets or individual lines like 1, 2 and 3. Again this is 1, 2 and 3. So it got arranged, or rather it is arranged in a 3 by 3 matrix. That is what you could infer from this understanding here. In the next step, we are using import numpy. Okay, zeros 3 comma 4. We've just checked this. Right. Then we're using line space. Right. Now, what is line space? Line space is when you would want to arrange numbers between them. Like I have numbers from an interval of 5 to 8. Right, I have, okay, I would want numbers from 5 to 8. And how many numbers would I want, guys? I would want 3 numbers. So this number which you see here, 3, this is not the interval. This was interval at the top, but this is arrangement at the bottom. So I would want 3 numbers from 5 to 8. And you will see that I have 5, 6.5 and 8. Now if I would have given this as 5 comma 8 comma 4, then it would give me an arrangement of 4 numbers. Let us just try this right away. Just do 4, and when we check the output, now you can see I have 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 4 numbers that are arranged from 5 to 8. Next is another line space. You can see I'm arranging, or rather I want 4 numbers from 2 to 7. So it has given me 2, 3.6, 5.3 and my 7. This is how you understand, or this is how NumPy works when we when we use line space, right, guys? So going forward, now this is all about filling the same numbers in an array of dimension. What was it earlier? Just a while back, when we were checking for zeros, it was zeros, right? Like if you can see here, it is np dot zeros, like zeros is the function. When you check things here, we would use full. Now, if you want all numbers to be zeros, that is the only event when you can use zeros. Or else, if you want to fill your number or fill your matrix with a number, let us say 5 or 10 or 8, in that case, you would use this function which is full. So when you use this function full, it would fill all the numbers or all the values in your matrix with that appropriate number or with that specified number. For example, here I'm using full. I want my matrix to be in 2 by 2 arrangement, and I want it to get filled with 5. That's the reason you have all 5s. The same applies here. I want my matrix to be in 2 by 4 arrangement and all numbers to be with 6. So you see I have 2 rows, 4 columns, and all my numbers are 6. Right, guys? So yeah, it's not very complicated to understand. It is as simple and as straight as it looks. Cool. After which the next one is random. Now, when you're using random, please note that you would be having values from the range of 0 to 1, right? And here, what is 2 comma 2 then? 2 comma 2 happens to be the arrangement of matrix. In most of the cases, whenever we are working on NumPy and there is 2 comma 4 or any kind of an arrangement that you see, then this is mostly pertaining to rows comma columns. Now this is true in 90% of the cases. This is not true all the times. So please and ensure that you are using this as a reference for the right values or for the right places. Okay. Now going forward, what are we doing here? Let us just understand. I'm using a 2 by 2 matrix arrangement for random values. So you can see I have 2 rows, 2 columns with values ranging between 0 to 1. The same is in the next step as well. You can see we are having np dot random dot random, and because of okay, np dot random dot random 1 comma 7. So I would be having one row and 7 columns. So let us just cross check, because this arrangement here looks twisted. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and this is all one row only, guys. And how do we know that it is one row? And if you have a question that if this is one row, then why are we having this printed in 2 rows, guys? It's because of the space arrangement. And here you can see I have one bracket beginning here, and there's no closure of this bracket anywhere in between. So things like these let me know that this is only one row and 7 columns. Now further, I'm importing numpy as np, and I'm using np dot random dot random with 3 comma 3, which means I would be having a 3 comma 3 arrangement of matrix with 3 rows and 3 columns. Hope that's very straight, simple, and easy to understand. Right, so this brings us to an end of the first module, and let us just take a look at all what we have covered. Just to make a note of it, guys, we've covered what is random, correct? We've covered what is arrange, and let us just also scroll this and check. Then we have seen full and line space, not to forget them. Full followed by line space, correct? So all these which we have checked, they are all mathematical functions. We have seen zeros and array. So we have also seen zeros and array. Right, now random is to give numbers between 0 to 1. Arrange gives you an arrangement of numbers with that specified interval. Okay, so if you say 0 comma 90 comma 10, it will give you values from 0 to 90 with an interval of 10. Then you have full, this is to fill a matrix, for example 5 5 5 5. Then we have line space. Line space, if you give 0 comma 10 comma 9 0 comma 90 comma 10 to line space, then it will give you 10 numbers from 0 to 90. Line space is a bit different from arrange. Then you have zeros, it is to fill all your matrix with zeros. And finally you have an array. Array is a mathematical expression like 5 6 9. These three numbers together make an array. So yeah, done that. Now, moving to the second part, wherein we would be looking at some basic mathematical functions. Right, so to begin with some basic mathematical functions, I have addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So let us look at them and understand them now. And they're very easy, guys. So there is no need for us to panic, or there's no need for us to start overthinking. Well, this happens to a lot of people who are working on libraries for the first time. It happened to me when I heard about NumPy, or when I started understanding about this module. I thought it would be too elaborate and too complex, and there would be a lot of mathematics, and that it would have many complex functions to understand. But as I kept going into it, I saw that it is simply a very, very basic conversion, or a very basic understanding of what we've done in our schooling. Some, by virtue of coding, they look pretty complex, but they are very simple, right? So, guys, I hope by now you all have understood why NumPy is important, where do we use NumPy, and how Python and data science and NumPy or Pandas, they all work with each other, right? And if you have any queries, I'm sure you all know what to do. Please feel free to write to us. Right, now talking about mathematics here, you have the first one, which is 2 into 3. We can see the value is 6. Then the next one I have is a sum, wherein I am checking the sum of 10 and 40, and we can see that the output is 50. Again, they're all very, very small, minute mathematical functions. And what all do we have, guys? I guess we have addition, we have subtraction, we have multiplication, we have division, right? Now, going forward, subtract multiplication is understood. We can either use a star, or we can use functions like multiply. This is an inbuilt function of NP, or we can also use a star. Both of them do the same thing. After which I'm doing sum. Now, when we're doing sum or addition, there are two ways to do it. Here I have one dimensional numbers, wherein I have 10 and 20, and we see that the output is 30. But here we have 1 comma 2 and 3 comma 1, which is a matrix arrangement. It's not the way you look at. If you actually try to look at it, it is 1 comma 2 and 3 comma 1. Now when I say axis of 0, it would be 4 comma 3, which is, so axis 0 is a columnar addition, while if I say axis is equal to 1, this would be a row variant, that is it would be 3 comma 4. So let us just check the output before we come to a conclusion. Now I would want to change, okay, before I change, let me also write this line here, import numpy as np. And now I would change axis equal to 0 to axis equal to 1. And guys, I suppose the answer should change from 3 to 4, and it has. And why is that? It is because, as you can see, this is now row wise addition. When we do axis equal to 0, it becomes column wise addition, which is 4 comma 3. Right guys, this might look a bit confusing because of the number arrangement, but you can try changing other numbers and see how this would bring about a difference, right? So yeah, let us now go forward. Okay, so here I have subtracting 10 from 20, which is minus 10. Then we are multiplying 2 comma 3, which is 6, which is also fine. After which I'm doing np dot divide for 10 comma 5. So we know 10 by 5 is 2, that is also fine. Cool. Now here we have sum of axis equal to 1. Now we all know what sum of axis equal to 1. Let me just again do this so that we understand things for the second time. This 3 comma 3 comma 6 comma 6. And what is the output we have? We have the output to be 6 comma 12. So here the axis is equal to 1, that is 6 comma 12. If axis equal to 0, then it would have been 9 comma 9, right guys? So that step is also very straight to understand, and I hope that it is understood. So we've understood how to do multiplication, addition, subtraction, division. Now in this next step, we are multiplying arrays. We are multiplying multiple arrays. It's not just one single array that we are trying to work with. We are working on multiple arrays. And when I'm working on multiple arrays, you can see I have 2 comma 3 comma 4 followed by 5 comma 6 comma 3. And when I say np dot multiply a comma b, you would see 2 into 5 is 10, 3 into 6 is 18, 4 into 3 is 12. These kind of multiplications is also possible, or this kind of multiplication when you have two arrays and they're getting multiplied by element wise is totally possible using np dot array. After which the next one we have is uh, moreover the trigonometric functions. You have exponential, you have square root, you have sine, cosine, tangential values, and logarithmic values. So here you can see I have, this is my exponential of a, this is my square root of a, sine of a, cos of a, tan, this is tangent, and another sine. We could probably replace this with log. I guess it just got printed twice. Right guys? So things like these are important for us. Now that we have understood things till mathematics, or things till some basic functions like square root, sine, cos, tan, and logarithmic values, let us now go ahead and understand a bit more like how do we work on things like array comparison. Now, guys, here comes the thing. When we work on such things like array comparison or aggregate functions, what we did till here, these were trigonometric functions, right? And what we have below, they are called, these are trigonometric functions, while the ones that you check below, they are called aggregate functions, right? In aggregate functions, we wouldn't be having things like sine, cos, tan, and all. It would be a bit more inclined towards finding the minimum or the mean or the maximum or finding out the standard deviation. Things like these are more associated with aggregate functions. So let us just go ahead or scroll below and cross verify that, and let's start working on them. Right, so here you can see there are some aggregate functions, and what all do we have here in aggregate? We have sum, we have minimum, we have median, we have correlation coefficient, and standard deviation. So these are all the parts that we have within aggregate functions. But then we are not done yet. Here, when we talk about aggregate functions, we are also supposed to talk about array comparison. Now, in array comparison, there are two variants. The first one being element-wise comparison, and the second one being array-wise comparison. So, what is the difference between both of them? If you could notice, we have the same data set both on the top and bottom. Guys, though there is a bit of number which is different here and there, we would notice that we have the same three digits, that's ABC, and each of these again has only three elements, that's 1 2 3, or probably 1 2 4, or 3 2 3, or whatever. Correct? This leads us, or this takes us to the next step, wherein I would want to check the difference between AB as element wise. So here I have 1, 2, 3, which is A, and I have B, which is 3, 2, 3. So we notice that both of these elements are the same at the top and the bottom. That is why we have a true. But this is not the same, which is why we have a false. Now this is element wise, as we saw. Now the next variant is an array wise. Here we wouldn't be having each element that's being compared. Rather, you can see we have 1 2 3 at the top and 1 2 3 at the bottom. So your answer would be true. Now, just to cross check, I would want to change this uh, to A comma C, just to see what I would have. And you see I have a false here. So A and C are not the same, and it would not give you a true, false. It's just a false, because even if one of them is wrong, it's wrong. So this is the difference between element wise and row wise comparison. Now that we've understood this, let us move on to the next concept in Python, which is broadcasting. Now, what is broadcasting? Guys, broadcasting is a small concept, or broadcasting is a concept that we have available in Python. And by this, we can, now let us assume when we have two arrays of different dimensions, but you might want to ensure that you want to work on them, or probably when you have two arrays of different dimensions each, but same number of rows and columns, that is when you work on broadcasting, right? So whenever we work on broadcasting, it can be used for slicing, or it can be used for a lot of things. Like, it refers to the ability of NumPy to be very precise in terms of definition. Broadcasting, uh, it is related to NumPy, and it treats arrays of different shapes. Okay, it is basically for array treatment. If someone asks you, then guys, now you know what to answer about array treatments. And notwithstanding this, we can also work on other arithmetic operations. When we use broadcasting, we can work on broadcasting for addition, for subtraction, for any kind of mathematical setup. We could work on broadcasting. So broadcasting is a concept. Broadcasting is not one step. All right. So now going into it, let us understand how we are trying to achieve broadcasting and what is it that we're doing here. So first step that I am taking as usual is my library, which is import np as numpy. Then I'm considering a matrix. So this is 3 columns, and how many rows? You can see I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is 4 rows and 3 columns. And then in my second step, I have 1 row and 3 columns. Right, guys? So can we work on them? Yes, we can work on them. And how? Let us check that right now. So first step, I'm using a simple print command wherein I'm passing A to be my first array and B to be my second array. And that is why you can see in my first array I have my first matrix, which is 4 into 3. In my second array I'm having my second matrix, which is 1 comma 3. Now when we are working on now that we are working on these, the next step for me would be to print a total of these. So when we check the total, it should be 0 plus 0, which is 0, 0 plus 1, which is 1, 0 plus 2, which is 2. Likewise, 10, 11, 12, likewise 20, 21, 22, so on. Right? I hope you are able to understand how this concept works here. And that is what we would be cross verifying now. And here goes my output. I hope you are now able to compare the values here and what we have calculated. We see that they are the same. So this is one concept where broadcasting can be used. Alright guys, broadcasting is used when you might want to slice or when you might want to work on arrays of different types. Okay, now going into the next concept. We are not yet done when we talk about NumPy or basics of NumPy, not so easy. When we work on NumPy, there are also a lot of other concepts like inspecting an array. But before we move on to inspecting an array, let us just make a note of all what we have covered till now in the second coding set that I have had, or that I've jotted down for us. So now that we have understood what is zeros, okay, we are done with zeros, done with array, line space, full. So we're done with zeros, array, line space, arrange, full, random. Right, I think that's all what we have covered in the first sheet. I think you remember we've not done this more than 20 minutes back. Then we moved on to the next one, wherein we were working on basic mathematical operations like plus, minus, division, and into. After which we saw the concept of broadcasting and anything in between that we've covered here. Yes, we have seen aggregate functions and trigonometric functions related to NumPy. So aggregate functions and trigonometric functions have also been covered. After which we worked on array comparison. So these were the concepts that we have covered till now. And then we are currently working on inspecting an array. That is, we would be seeing how to understand or how to check the shape, how to check the size. Okay, sorry, there's no size, there's shape and then we would be moving on into the next one, that is how to reshape. So we would be working on shape and then how to reshape. Okay, let us just begin as of now. Right, so here in step 1, I'm considering my numpy as np, we all know the step, and then I'm considering an array with two uh, you know, rows. Okay, so my first row is 2, 3, 4, and my second row is 5, 6, 7. And we know that this is 2 rows, 3 column vector. So this is giving me an output of the shape here. Then in my next step, I am using np.array. Again, the same data set 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6. Okay, doesn't make any difference. And now what I'm doing here is I am stating that my A shape is equal to 3 comma 2. This is in the shape of 2 comma 3. But when I say 3 comma 2, it would reshape this into 2 columns and 3 rows. I hope you are able to make the difference between step 1 and step 2. So if step 1 is finding out the shape, step 2 is reshaping. Then I am moving on to the next, that is return the dimension of an array. Now how do we return the dimension of an array? And this leads us to the next one, that is A, or whatever. Now A here is a variable, guys, you can just use whatever it is, n dimension. So whenever we use n dimension, you would know what is the dimension of your array. So here when I enter a 24, you can see that this is one dimensional value. Now in step 2, I am arranging 24. So 24 we know is 2 into 3 into 4. 2 into 3, 6, and 6 4 is 24. Yeah. So when I do this and when I do b is equal to a dot reshape of 2 comma 3 comma 4, you would see that this is now 3 dimensional, or it got 3 dimensions or 3 elements within it. So this is how you find out the dimension of an array. Then we will go to the next step, that is how to find out the number of elements in an array. And in order to do that, now that we have checked for shape, reshape, a dot n dimension, the next step is a dot size, where both of these a's are some random variables. Cool. So I'm using np dot array of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is a 3 comma 3 matrix. Now if you would want to see how many elements do I have in total, you can do d size, and d size would tell me that I have 9 elements. But here there is a small important step that we would need to talk about, and now I'll be talking about it. When we are working on concepts like these, we are now entering another, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is 7, 8, 9, 1. Now guys, if you are working on a matrix which is improperly developed, this is like 3 rows and this is, yeah, 3 rows and 4 columns with 2 missing values. Now if you give values like these, then your system would also give him inaccurate results. So this would only give you the number of rows. That's it. So that is the reason why here I have an answer of 3. It means that it's only returning this side of the values. It's not taking these into consideration because they are improper. They're not properly built. I wouldn't want to delete everything. this you can use this, the things on the right you can use them and as your reference to understand all what we've covered till now. Okay, so the next step would be to find the data type of an array. And in order to find out the data type, guys, it's very easy. I think one of the most easiest. You can do a dot type. And when you do a dot type, you'll see your values, or you'll see, yeah, the kind of data type that you have taken that would get considered, or that is the one that would get taken into your account. For example, here I am using np dot arrange of 24. It is arranging those 24 numbers to me, but when I do print a of d type, it will give me int 32. The same is with here. When I give a d type of float, and when I give print a dot d type, it will give me a value of float 64. And with the d type, your answer would also vary. Guys, it's very important for us to notice that. Here I'm using 0, 1, 2, all of these numbers are whole numbers. But when you use here, you see they are all float numbers. You have a decimal value associated with them. So this is how your simple values and your float values, or your int32 and float, make a difference when you're working on the coding part of it. Now going forward to the next and the final chunk of code. Cool. Now that we have worked on these, let us go into understanding the next set of codes that we have. And now the next one that I have is concatenate. Concatenate. Now when would you use concatenate? So here, as you can see, right. So here, as you can see, I have 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6. Now, if I want all of them to be like, this is A and this is B. Now, if there is no huge logic that's going into this, and I want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, both of them like A and B to come into C, then I can use concatenate of A comma B is equal to C. So by this, what would happen? I would have values of A comma B which are saved or stored into C. And that is exactly what we're doing here. You can see I have A is equal to 1 to 3, B is equal to 4, 5, 6, and when I use concatenate of A comma B, I'll have 1 to 6, all these values within one vector now. So this is how we could use uh, array manipulation, or we could use concatenate for array manipulation. A simple way to understand this. Then in succession, we have vstack and hstack. Let me just rub away all this for clear screen. Right, so I have something called as vstack, and next one that I have is hstack. Now vstack is vertical. I mean, there's no huge ununderstandable logic here, and hstack is horizontal. So I have numbers which are 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, both of them belonging to two separate vectors or two separate matrices. When I do vstack, they would be arranged one on top of another. So I would be having A and B. Now when I do hstack, I would be having A comma B. So if this is A and B, they are stacked one on top of another. In hstack, I would be having A by B. So A and B here are adjacent to each other. And we can note that here in my V stack, I have an answer of A comma B. You see A is on top of B. But in H stack, when I do the same A comma B, I have A beside B. So both of them here are beside each other. So this is how we work on H stack and V stack. Let me now just remove all this. Okay, so we have H stack and V stack. Okay, and then we also have column stack. By the way, guys, we've not spoken about column stack. So what is column stack? As you can see, I have A, which is 1, 2, 3. I have B, which is, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, or 4, 5, 6. Now, when I stack them, they wouldn't go in the way they want. It would be 1 comma 4, 2 comma 5, and 3 comma 6. So both of these would become would get transposed. Both of these would get transposed. Likewise, both of these. So we have V stack, H stack, and column stack. Please keep this in mind, and also keep this in reference for future use, because whenever we are working on matrices, or whenever we are working on basic operations of NumPy, it becomes very important, and not just important, it is also imperative for us to ensure that we know such basic operations. Now that we have understood how to split an array, okay, sorry, now that we've understood how to work on an array, let us go to the next concept, that is how to split an array. And talking about split, we have already seen what is H split. We have covered H split just a while back. Now this example which we are working on here is an extension of what we have already seen just a while back. And guys, I would really appreciate if you could pause the video, or just put the video on hold for a second, think about, or just try to figure out what is H split and where and how is it useful. Anyways, now let us go forward and understand uh, about this H split and where can it be used. Right. So I'm using np dot arrange 16, and this is shape 4 comma 4. So we can notice I have 0 1 2 3 4, 4 rows, and 0 1 2 3, 0 1 2 3. Right, so we have 4 into 4, that's 4 rows and 4 columns. Now that we have this, or we have a range of 60 numbers that are arranged in this fashion, the next step I would want to do is split this matrix, and I can split this matrix in the way I want. If I'm giving this matrix a name of X, right guys, as we know, X is equal to np dot arrange, correct? So whenever I give X, I would be having this as my output. Now what I'm doing is I'm using print X and comma n. So this is the first output, right? This is my first output, after which I'm having 2 slash n. Guys, slash n is for next line, or a lot of people also refer to this as a new line. Either which ways, it is something that does not happen in the same line, right? Let me just remove this. This is causing some confusion on the screen. Right, guys. So here, what are we doing next? We're using, uh, okay, we are arranging the numbers. Alright, I think we skipped a step in the process of scrolling. Right, here we were, and here this is the point which we were supposed to talk about. So what are we doing here? I'm using n dot slash n, because of which I'm having two line spaces here, because slash n is used two times, and then I'm splitting x comma 2, which means I'm trying to split this after my second row, or after my second column, to be more honest, because this is h split, right? And And how do we know that? We can check for that in the corresponding output. And where is my output, guys? Right below. So here you see I am considering 0, 1, 4, 5. It's not that I'm considering, like these two have been in the first. So these are in the first part, and 2, 3, 6, 7, 10, 11, and 14, 15 are in the second part. Right, guys? So this is how your output gets printed whenever you are working using H split. H split, I repeat, is horizontal split. So that is why when you have 0, 1, 2, 3, and I say x comma 2, if this is x, it would get split on the second. So this is my first and this is my second. So the split is coming up here. Alright, so this is the simple understanding to H split. Now let us scroll a bit more forward. Right, so here I have again the same numbers. Guys, I think the code till here is already understood and needs no special uh, explanation once again. We are focused more about this point now. So we know that this is x, this whole information is x. This is that line where x was split into two using h split, h split, x comma 2. Now this is something that we are new to. So here what I am doing is x comma np array. Guys, that's something that we've seen how to use in the first exercise. So NP array, and I consider within array a number 3, and because of this it would slice information from me for me after the third. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3, and we all know that in Python your operation, your end, I mean it always happens one before. So if I give 0 to 10, it would stop at ninth, right? Likewise here also, when I give 3, it would have the first cut for me at 2. So I have 0, 1, 2, and then there is a split, and we have only the last element or the last column which is hanging around. So you have um, 3, 7, 11, and 15 in the third array. Right, guys? So this is the next part of broadcasting. So now I hope you have understood the in and out of broadcasting and how we do it. Broadcasting looks a bit complex, guys, but trust me, it's not. Now that we are freshers, you might find it a bit of you might take a bit of adjustment time, but yeah, I'm very sure that with time to go, you will get used to it. Now this is the next variant, and here what we are doing is we are trying to reshape the same 16 elements. So 0 to 15 is 16 elements. Now I'm using reshape 4 comma 4. This is what it is. Then step 2, wherein we are using x comma 2 to split, that is achieved. Then in my next step, I would want it to split at second row and third column. Right, guys? So let us just understand that from here. 0, 1, 2. Okay, let me just scroll this a bit more down so we have our answer appropriately. Okay, so what are we doing here? Let us understand this now. Yeah, this is the line that we were talking about. So I'm having x comma np dot array comma 2 comma 3. So I have and what are all the totals we have, like what are all the number like arrays we have? We have 0th array, first, second and third. So it means that 0 and 1 would be here only, while second and third are coming out as separate elements. So you can see that we have uh, 2 6 10 4, 2 6 10 4 here, and then we have 3 7 11 15. We have 3 7 11 15. They are they have been populated out separately, or they're thrown out of the matrix to go out and live as existing units, or as independent units, because that is the step that we have asked for, or that is what we wanted, or that's what we have asked for in this very step. Cool. Now let us go on to the next part of indexing or slicing. And when we're talking about indexing here, guys, there is a very small logic that we would want to understand. When we use x with a colon in the front, and when we use a colon followed by a x, there is a difference. This is things after x. So let us assume within I have a x, y, z, a, comma, b. Then when I do of this, my answer would be y and z, because these are the two elements which I have after x. And when I do this, my answer would be a, comma, b, because these are the elements which are before x. So guys, please mind you, whenever you're working on such elements, right, or whenever we are working on indexing, we might have to keep such minute things in mind. Otherwise, such small differences, or these two lines or these two dots can bring about a huge difference when you're working on the actual part of it, and we don't want that. And because of this, your whole code could get affected. And I mean, I'm sure you would experience problems which you might not have thought of, and this is something that is totally not wanted or expected when you're working on any session, or on any development procedure, right? So that is the thing. Now, talking about indexing, now that we have understood how it works, the first step that I'm doing is I'm considering a set of random alphabets, and I'm using 0 to 5, which is the reason why I have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 5 elements from 0 to 4, and we know that in Python, I repeat this again and again, in Python, your last element would not populate. Things would stop one before the last element. Then I have arrays. Now in this case, I would want to slice an array. And what are the different arrays we have? We have array named 0, we have array named 1, and array named 2. And whenever I do array 0, I would have 1, 2, 3, because this is my 0th. Let us just try changing this to 1, and you'll see that your output would vary. Okay, it says np not found. It is import numpy as np. And now let me do this. Right, so you see you have your first array, that is 4, 5, 6. So I hope now what I said and what you saw are in consistency with each other. Right guys, so it's very easy. It's not very complex, it's not very difficult. It's as simple and as straight as you look at it. Okay, then over to my next step. So here I would be extracting my first array, and I would be so here I have a matrix. Let us just write this in the form of a matrix for better understanding. Right. So my matrix is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now with this being my matrix, I am just using a 1 slash whatever, oh, sorry, 1 colon. So this is only row, there is no mention of column. So everything after my first row. So you have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right guys, so that's how it works here. Now let us quickly understand another as well. And here I am again considering the same row, or the same set of uh, elements, that is 1 2 3 4 5 6 and 7 8 9. And when I do this, I have now a of 1. Let us just understand things very clearly guys. That's the reason why I'm writing them here on a broader picture and then trying to explain them, so that there is no difference of understanding between what I am trying to explain and between what is being understood. Right. So this is up to my first row and this is after my first column. So up to my first row is this. So if you look at it from the bottom, then this is where it would stop, and then after my first column. So what is it that is left over guys? It is 2 comma 3, and that is exactly what we have here. Right? I hope now you're able to understand how do we work on indexing and slicing, guys. They're very, very important. And trust me, when you start working on real-time data sets, or when you start working on live projects, or when you start working on EDA, that is exploratory data analysis, it becomes very important and very, or rather it becomes imperative for us to have a sound understanding of such concepts, right? So this is what we have here. Now going forward, let me just clear the screen a bit. Right, let us just keep the matrix. You never know, there might be more pieces of code that would suddenly be bouncing. Yes, we have. And now what is it that we have? I have, okay, so this is what I have. I have a of 1 dot comma 1 dot, or 1 colon comma 1 colon. So anyways, this is after my first row, right? And this is after my first column, and I'm left with 5 6 8 9, and that's exactly what I have here. So that is a hooray. So I hope you also have understood how do we work on these guys, right? So as long as we are talking about NumPy, or as long as we are talking about mathematics, things are very clean and straightforward. And by now you must have understood that what are the advantages of using NumPy. First of all, NumPy is meant for creating homogeneous n-dimensional arrays. Okay, I would definitely like to list down these important features that NumPy provides for your perusal. You may want to make a note of these points which I'm about to talk right now from an interview perspective. Right, so to begin with, when I talk about NumPy, first things first, NumPy is for creating homogeneous and n-dimensional arrays, guys. Okay, n-dimensional arrays, and it uses less memory. This is another very important benefit of uh, NumPy. Like NumPy takes almost significantly negligible memory, right? And this can be compared to anything. Like when you work on NumPy does, you would see NumPy uses less memory as compared to other libraries. Then you can use NumPy. Okay, that's the first point, to create n-dimensional arrays. That is also understood. After this, you should also know that reshaping or working on arrays, or understanding them, is not very difficult. And even if notwithstanding single dimensional or multi-dimensional arrays, it can be used for both of them. then you have a lot of mathematical functions that are inbuilt while using NumPy, and it is very highly powerful when you would want to use concepts like slicing, or when you would want to use concepts like extraction of basic elements, or when there is some basic mathematics involved. You would definitely find that NumPy is much more advantageous as compared to a list or as compared to other elements, right? Broadcasting function, you have the processing speed which is higher, the memory footprint which is good. You have convenient methods to handle stuff as compared to a list or any other library. So guys, these are some real good and cool advantages of NumPy that you should know and that we have worked with just to understand. Okay, we'll just throw light on what we've looked at and we just delete them. So concatenate is covered, zeros is understood, arrays followed by line space. Guys, there's a very small difference between arrange and line space. Line space doesn't mind giving you out. Arrange gives you intervals, while line space gives you the number of elements that you're looking at. Then we have full. If you want to fill any of probably any kind of a matrix with the same kind of numbers, that's when you use fill or full. Then I have random. Random gives you values between 0 to 1. Like whenever you use np.random.random, 2 comma 3, you would be having a 2 row 3 columned matrix with all the numbers to be 5, or all the numbers from 0 to 1 for full and random respectively. Then we have array comparison. We've seen how to do array comparison for elements and for a whole array. Then you have shape, which is to check the shape of an array. You have reshape. We have a dot n dimension to check the dimensions. You have a dot shape to size to check the size of your uh, array. Then you have a dot type. This is to check the data type that you're using. It could be an int 32, or it could be a float. What variant of uh, data type is it? Then we have worked on some very basic mathematical operations, after which we have seen the concept of broadcasting and understood what broadcasting is. Then moved on to aggregate functions, then some trigonometric functions, followed by h stack, v stack, and column stack. So these are the things that we have covered in this session. And I hope that you understood all what we've looked at, because guys, trust me, I mean, everything that we've seen, they are all basics. They are all things that we begin with, and there is a huge chunk of information that is something that we would come across as we keep going ahead. Right, guys, so I hope you have understood what is in array creation, what is indexing, what is slicing, what are some array manipulation functions, and also what are some basic mathematical operators. And if this is understood, and if you feel that this session has added any value to your current self and has probably enhanced your learning experience by a bit, then guys, please do not forget to hit the like button, because that would encourage us to make more videos. And also, do not forget to hit the subscribe button, because when you do that, you will be having access to a plethora of videos to watch from, because we are uploading every day and we are uploading at a very rampant pace. You might definitely want to hit the subscribe to know everything that's be getting uploaded. And also, do not forget the bell icon, because when you do that, you would be updated about the latest videos which we are uploading. So thank you very much for being there. Your patience is very much appreciated. And thanks a lot for your time. This is me, Varun, your trainer and mentor, signing off, wishing you all the best. Thank you.